When I was a 5th grader, the war ended, and I returned home from Tottori Prefecture, where I had been evacuated. The city of Kobe had been totally flattened, reduced to ashes. People said it was because of the B-29 bombers. As a child, I was astonished by their terrifying, destructive power.
That quote is by Yokoyama Mitsuteru, one of the grandfathers of anime, creator of the first mecha Tetsujin 28, known here in America as Gigantor. War is ingrained in the genre of mecha. Macross, Eva, Gundam, and so many other anime use these giant machines to duke it out with one another, focusing on the perils of war, how it affects civilians, soldiers, and nations. Let's take a step back from the fancy model kits and colorful robots. These are weapons made to destroy. You see, Mitsuteru's other inspiration for Tetsujin 28 was the German World War II V weapons, the Wunderwaffe. Wunderwaffe were these humongous concept weapons. Majority of them never came past the prototype stage for a number of practical reasons, but the sheer size and terrifying might of these concepts can be seen in the idea of not just Gigantor, but also in Gundam and other mecha. So we connected the dots to mecha's origin. So what's the point, ShakeStar? Whenever I watch a mecha and it's not just another war movie or show, it helps me appreciate the series a lot more than what I would have. Patlabor is the first to come to mind. I love a good mech fight, but whenever the genre surpasses or focuses more on different aspects than just robots fighting other robots, robots fighting aliens, I don't know why, but my brain likes to gravitate to the show or movie more. So, 1984's Giant Gorg. Giant Gorg is an action mecha, but also a mystery adventure. Side note, the script for this video has been rewritten about 8 or 9 times, and hopefully this is a good review because this is the script I'm working with. Surprisingly, I've been planning out this review I guess even before the Devilman review. Giant Gorg is one of those rare anime beauties, focusing on adventure, action, and mystery while balancing and focusing on its story and characters, creating this vibe of escapism, harkening back to the days of Tetsujin 28 in its style and design. If you can't tell already, I really like Giant Gorg, so to save you the wonder of this show, I'm not going to spoil it for you. We'll go through the show's general plot, review, and we'll look into a bit of its themes and why 40 years later it still works. But before I hop into this whole entire review thing, let's go into the production of the anime. Also, I just thought I'd clarify that I am sick right now. My voice is really strained, but I really do want to get this review done on time. So if I sound like RFK Jr. On this mic, I apologize in advance.
Today I'm going to be reviewing the 1984 anime Giant Gorg, and I personally think that it's one of my...
Yasuhiko Yoshikazu is a Japanese animator, mangaka, and anime director. He worked on a 1971's Wandering Sun as a character designer and in 1973 as an animator on Zero Tester. It wouldn't be until 1974's Space Battleship Yamato he'd actually start finding interest in working in the anime industry. But to cut the fat, he's best known for being the animation director and character designer for the original 1979 Mobile Suit Gundam. Let's hop over to 1982. Michael Jackson releases Thriller, E.T. comes out in theaters to a humongous success, and an early Crusher Joe movie screening was well received. Crusher Joe was directed and written by Yoshikazu, and with that positive reception, got the animation studio Sunrise to pick up his next idea. Surprisingly, due to Yoshikazu's positive reputation and track record, the sponsored toy maker Takara, now Takara Tomy, gave him free reign over the project, which was uncommon at the time. You see, usually a creator needed to pitch a plot, characters, and world to a toy sponsor, but my man Yoshikazu was simply so goated, his name was a sure enough seal of success for Takara. All Takara wanted was a Giant robot to sell, and Yoshikazu was the man for the job. So, production started in 1982, and with the expected release date in 1983, it was delayed 6 months, with the anime being released in 1984 and running for 26 episodes. It's sad to say, Giant Gorg didn't meet the expectations in toy sales or viewership. There's a number of factors, but a major one I realized while doing research was the tide of the anime market changing. Macross and Nausicaa being released definitely took away the attention of Giant Gorg. Also, in just quality alone, those two somewhat blow Giant Gorg out of the water, leaving this anime to fade into the sands of time and waiting for the age of the internet and a particular star motif anime reviewer to dust it off, give it the view and proper attention it so rightfully deserved 40 years ago. Set in the distant future of 1990, a mysterious island named New Astral Island emerges from the sea off the coast of Samoa. For whatever reason, the evil giant corporation Guile want to keep the existence of the island a secret. This secret island has a particular Japanese university professor, Dr. Tagami, obsess over the island, and 8 years later in 1998, the secret and his own curiosity leads to his own murder by the Guile organization. Before his death, Dr. Yagami left a letter to his son, Yu, instructing him to find his former student, Dr. Wave, in the hellscape drill music Never Take the D Train after 10 p.m. New York City. There, Yu meets Dr. Wave, Doris Wave, Dr. Wave's younger sister, and their dog Argos. The meetup is cut short after the Guile organization attacks them with a wrecking ball. Thanks to Dr. Wave's friend named Skipper, they get saved, but the trials do not end there. At every corner, the Guile group is after our protagonist and his friends. After an adventurous, harrowing trip, the crew soon washes up ashore of New Astral Island. Separated, the crew meets Alois and Sarah, two island natives, while Yu meets the giant guardian itself, Gorg. After being reunited, Alois, Sarah, the captain, Dr. Wave, Doris, Yu, and Gorg go on an adventure to find out the secrets of New Astral Island. What is Gorg? What is the Guile group hiding? And will the crew find out the secrets of New Astral Island? Or will Guile's agenda prevail? Mystery works when the audience gets captivated by leaving them with more questions at the turn of every page, end of a level, end of an episode, or even a season, pulling you and I into a realm of intrigue and building suspense. With this sense of the unknown sparking curiosity, it keeps us biting our nails, putting you and I on the edge of our seats, eager to unravel hidden narratives and truths. So, when adventure blends with mystery, it opens a new realm. Characters embark on journeys, not only to uncover secrets, but hidden treasures, truths, keying into and achieving their own personal growth. This trio of adventure, mystery, and anime can allow for an emotional roller coaster, letting viewers experience the excitement of discovery and the unknown, making every new discovery enticing. And I'm so happy to say, from its animation to its fun characters, Giant Gorg does not disappoint. Yoshikazu worked as a sole director for all the episodes, so the quality and style never changes or drops, giving the show this consistently smooth look the entire series. The animation isn't perfect, but the show is well animated and full of life. There are moments when the animation actually pops off and it looks so vibrant and straight up beautiful. I find the moment when Yu meets Gorg perfectly directed, with its calming lighter colors complemented by the relaxing soul-stirring music, just simply excellent. The music for Giant Gorg is fantastic. Bright Eyes, the anime's main theme song, feels like a song reveling in 80s adventure, and with this nostalgic feeling of discovery, the anime's background music is perfectly executed. Mitsuo Hagita's tracks work perfectly depending on the scenario our characters find themselves into. The sound design for this show is damn near perfect. Every explosion sounds horrifying, guns go off nearly every episode, making your palms sweat, and whoever did the sound effects for Gorg walking deserve the 3,000. I don't know why, it just sounds so cool. One of the issues I have with the characters is that they don't really develop, but the characters we're given are fun, and the chemistry of Team Gorg bounces off each other really well, feeling like a family that has come together out of survival and the intrigue to want to know the secrets of the island. I feel like episode 9 is my favorite. It's when you and Alois actually interact one-on-one and grow a respect for one another by helping each other survive getting lost in a cave. The villains are your Saturday morning evil bad guys. The Guile group is run by the Balboa family, and Roy is the hip, new, fresh, cool guy who wants to prove himself. He's as cold and menacing as he is suave and handsome. There are other members of the Guile organization, but you know what? Instead of putting my energy into talking about these pretty one-dimensional, evil mustache-twirling villains, let's talk about our more interesting heroes. Yu is our audience surrogate, and we mostly follow him throughout the adventure. Whatever Yu discovers, we discover. He's a good-hearted child that simply wants to know as much as the audience wants to know. There's the cowardly but smart Dr. Wave and his snappy but nervous younger sister, Doris. She's always concerned about Yu and is always by his side, however hesitant she may be. She's always a real team player. Then there's Captain Skipper. Side note, in the sub-translation I was reading, he's called Skipper, but when I was doing my research, he's simply also referred to as Captain everywhere else, so for the sake of the video, we'll call him Captain Skipper. Captain Skipper is the tough weapons guy that takes no crap from anyone. You cross Skipper, you're skipping your existence. Then there's Alois and Sarah, who I really liked a lot, which I feel like midway through the show, they were completely underutilized. These are natives to Astral Island looking for a way to protect their home. And as a person who had their hometown gentrified, grab that gun and keep that rent low, baby. I'm also going to clear up a misconception I made earlier in the video. Astral Island always existed. New Astral Island is the landmass that emerged next to the island. The original island is where Alois and Sarah came from. Alois is a bit of a trigger-happy hothead, and Sarah plays way more into the supportive role for the team. And because this cartoon is from the 20th century, every 20th century cartoon group needs their pet dog character, so let me introduce you to Argo. And last but not least, there's the titular Gorg is a character I'm going to say very little about to keep the mystery, but what I will say is the instant Gorg is on screen, bro's cooking everything in his path. Do you think Gorg looks cool?
Yeah. Doesn't he looks kind of like an Iron Giant, right?
Okay, I'm gonna cut this part of the video. I'm a huge fan of Gorg's design. You can tell by looking at Gorg, he's something ancient and mysterious while something that looks very blocky and strong. The allure of his design, it definitely goes along with the sense of mystery the show has. The show's big question is, what is Gorg? Where does he come from and what is his purpose? In comparison to so many other mecha, Gorg doesn't fly. He has no flying rocket punches like Mazinger or missile boobs, no laser sword like the RX-78-2. He doesn't even have other mechs that combine and create him into a giant bigger mech like Getter Robo. Gorg is Gorg, strapped with a gigantic bazooka and daring anyone to come his way. He's also really adorable. He's protective of you and the gang, even placing you on top of his head so you can get a better view at times. He doesn't really even have to do this. He's just doing it because he's a really chill guy. Even after a big battle, bro doesn't keep walking at times. He just straight up will have to take a nap for a bit. He's like, okay, the battle's over. Let me just. I love this guy. He really does steal the show. From its beautiful beaches, dark atmospheric caves, and large landscapes, the settings in Giant Gorg are beautifully illustrated. I really like how they depicted New York City. My mom grew up in the quote-unquote boogie down Bronx during the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and this is exactly the imagery and vibe that comes to mind whenever I would think of the stories that she used to tell me. Littered in graffiti, getting robbed on the train, and absolutely nobody caring. Now that I think of it, that's actually New York today. From our heroes to our villains, the voice actors in the show do a fantastic job. Rest in peace, Masao Imanashi. He has voice acting credits in Kikaider 01 and 1983's Cat's Eye. He does a really good job at Captain Skipper's voice, perfectly balancing that tough guy while simultaneously being like a father figure to the group. Mayumi Tanaka also does the voice for Yu. She's also been in the industry since 1978, and her acting credits include Krillin, Yajirobe, and fortune teller Baba from Dragon Ball Z. She also did the original Japanese voice for that one 4Kids show that really long time ago. She did the main character's voice. I don't really seem to remember what his name was. I'm going off script right now, by the way. Amongst my research that I've been doing right now, I have stumbled across an anime fan magazine from 1988. Because, you know, before the days of the internet, these actually used to be clubs and groups that people used to meet up and hang out and discuss and talk about their favorite anime and hand out these little pamphlets. They would mail you these zines, and in these zines, they would discuss the then newest, hottest anime. This one is the Animania newsletter of the Ann Arbor Anime Organization for March 1st, 1988. And inside, they talk about Fist of the North Star. This is one part that says reading Japanese. It's not impossible. Amongst looking into this, there are little things that actually teach you on how to speak Japanese. This guy, Tim Eldred, is talking about taping dub policies where fans were making their own fan dubs and the process on that. And lo and behold, there is a review of Giant Gorg. It seems like the group came together and watched the first 2 episodes together. Funny enough, they also mentioned some of the things that I've mentioned in this review, though I would not agree that Giant Gorg is on theatrical level animation. I would say the animation is still really, really good. I am such a spoiled Gen Zigga that if I want to discuss anime with my friends, I either hop on Discord. If I want to discuss it with a larger community, I can just hop on something like Reddit or another forum board. But back then, there was none of that stuff. It's really nice to see how they built community over their niche interest when at the time anime was not as big as it is today. And it's nice to see that at the time, despite the failure of Giant Gorg, well, we'll get into that in a second, it's still nice to see that Giant Gorg was appreciated by its even smaller audience here in America. And a bit of me now wonders if there's an English 80s fan dub of Giant Gorg out there. And what's so funny is that while I'm doing my research for Giant Gorg, the same Tim Eldredge that is mentioned within these zines is the same Tim Eldredge I found that had this website over here where I got all my information on Giant Gorg's development and production. And I found it all on his website, timeldred.com. On the Art Vault, there's a plethora of different information on comics, manga, anime, and a whole bunch of other animated mediums. And I think I'm definitely going to look back at this website later on. I can't focus too much on it right now, but yeah, no, I'm really happy I stumbled across this. This was really nice. There's also a Giant Gorg manga, but the issue that I'm kind of coming across from it is that there are no pages of the manga uploaded online, and the only copy that's available is $60 online, and I kind of don't have the money to spend on that right now. Maybe perhaps it's because I got my ticket for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in theaters, and I also got this Giant Gorg figurine. I clearly need to get my priorities down when doing my research. But yet and still, let's get back into the review. RAVSUCK'S, my dear friend and YouTuber, did the reading at the beginning of the video. Please check out his channel if you enjoy superhero, anime, or comic videos. My Blue Sky is linked in the description below. Follow me if you want to know more about my little life updates and see more of my art pieces. And please follow me on Patreon. Every dollar goes a long way, and you get to see videos a little early and little scripts and little specialties before anyone else or no one else will see. There was a Giant Gorg video game released on the NEC PC 88. No, I didn't play it because the gameplay alone doesn't really look like my kind of game, but thank you, Hi Retro Game Lord, for playing it. I got footage for my video. In 2015, Giant Gorg would finally be released on DVD by Discotek Media. Also in 2015, Gorg would make an appearance in the tactical RPG Super Robo Tizen BX. This year in November, Giant Gorg finally was released on Blu-ray by Discotek Media. So let's go down what we've discussed so far. The characters are fun. Despite some characters' lack of development, the mystery and action is really well written and exciting. The animation is really good and consistent, especially for TV quality animation at its time, and there was a bit of buzz about the show here stateside. So why did Giant Gorg not succeed? Giant Gorg wasn't a failure to say, it just didn't meet the commercial expectations. It was pretty middle of the road when it comes down to viewership and toy sales. Yasuhiko wouldn't helm as head director on a project till 2015's Gundam The Origins. Other than the factors of the anime medium changing amongst its original release date, it would have simply been that Gorg himself and the anime too were just pretty simple. Like I mentioned before, Gorg doesn't have a bunch of special abilities, he's just really strong and has a gun. Gorg is a really simple robot with a pretty simple story and pretty easy characters to follow. This isn't to say it's middle of the road or the story or animation or characters aren't impressive, it just doesn't hold the same amount of weight or complexity as any of its peers would have had. But honestly, on its own, Giant Gorg is really good and an impressive show. I can't emphasize enough how impressed I am with this animation quality. For all 26 episodes, this show looks fantastic. I was gripped to find out the secrets and mysteries unravel before my eyes and see characters desperately figure out ways to get out of their situations, even at points being able to acknowledge that Gorg can't just punch his way out of this one. It's by no means perfect, but it's an endearing show. Though Gorg may not have the flair of some of its contemporaries, him as a mech is perfect for a story like this. If he had all the anime mecha flair of all the other stories in anime, I think it would have felt a little unfocused and take away from the action. He'd be like all the other mecha, and you know what? I'm happy he's not. There's a beauty in simplicity. It's unadorned, it's understated, and it's essential. When there's excess, it can really take away from a story, character, or scenarios, truths, and clarity. In a world that constantly wants to champion complexity, simplicity can invite a level of peace, not just within the source material, but within the viewer themselves. Simplicity itself gives time to breathe, reflect, and appreciate the richness of not just anime, but life itself. Simplicity is a fantastic reminder that less is more, and Gorg, both the show and the robot, perfectly encapsulates that. I can't emphasize enough how charming and beautiful this show is at moments. The cute moments when the characters look after each other, when Gorg goes out of his way to protect the team. The silliness of Dr. Wave really helps cool the most tense moments, and it doesn't feel like it's killing the energy of the show. And in a way, not only because Gorg isn't another piloted mecha, Gorg feels like a good spiritual successor to Tetsujin 28 and the other mystery adventure shows of the 1960s. I had a lot of fun rewatching this show and editing this review and putting all these details and small things together, if I'm going to be honest. This has to be the most fun I've ever had making a review. Finding these tidbits of information, stumbling upon at one point what I thought was lost media, and even getting a figurine. I feel like amongst the production and the story itself, and just the robot himself, there's a lesson in Gorg. You may not be the biggest, you may not be the strongest, you may not be the greatest of all time, and you know what? That's okay. Simply, no one is. But if you appreciate the smaller things in life, whether it's the community you build from a special interest, a figurine of a forgotten robot, the time you spend with someone you love, no matter how short that time may have been, it's those simple things you'll acknowledge that really make the difference for you in the long run. And if you don't get the instant recognition that you feel or deserve over the course of time, those who know and see you will appreciate you for what you are, even if you're some robot from the 80s. If you don't like mecha, I promise you the entire genre isn't crying teenagers and robots, but there are some legitimate gems in here, so go watch Giant Gorg. This anime is really good. It doesn't feel like just another war mecha. Gorg isn't some weapon, he's a friend. So go give Gorg the chance he never had all that time ago, and find the beauty in simplicity.